Hi everybody, in this video I'm going to show you how to make a rock, paper, scissors game in Python. Now specifically this game will use while loops to keep the game running so that you can play multiple rounds. It'll use variables to keep track of how many rounds a player has won, so that you can play like a best of 5 sort of thing. And it will use Python's built-in random library to randomly choose rock, paper, scissors for an AI player, as well as conditional statements to control the flow of the program and decide who wins each round. So let me just demonstrate how it works. So it says choose rock, paper, or scissors. If I say rock, notice it lists player choice rock, AI choice paper. So paper beats rock. I lost. I'll play again. I'll play rock again. Tie. Rock versus rock. Paper versus paper. I'm going back to rock. I'm losing again. And I lost. So I lost 3-1. So that's all there is to it. So let me show you how to create that program. So you'll notice there was an AI. So somehow the program has to be randomly picking rock, paper, or scissors for the AI. It's not a very smart AI. It just plays randomly. It's not trying to strategize at all. So what I'll do is I'm just going to import random, and I'm just going to end up using that to randomly choose. This import statement just imports something from outside of your program into your program, and in this case it's the Python standard random library that you can use to randomly select things. I know I'm going to need to keep score, so I might as well set up those variables in advance. So I'll say player score, set that to 0, AI score, set that to 0 as well. And I like just having a little bit of, I like having some decorative things. Say rock, paper, scissors, best of 5. Just a little bit of decoration for the user interface. Okay, so most of this program is going to run inside a while loop that just keeps going until one of the players wins 3 games. That's what makes it a best of 5. Whoever wins 3 games first wins the majority of the games out of 5. So I'm just going to say while player score is less than 3 and AI score is less than 3, and everything, almost all of the program will happen inside of this while loop. It'll just keep playing a round of rock, paper, scissors until somebody gets 3 wins. So now got to think about what needs to happen. What needs to happen in a game of rock, paper, scissors. The player needs to choose. So the human player will input rock, paper, or scissors. The AI needs to randomly choose rock, paper, or scissors, and then you need to make some comparisons and print out the status of the game as well. So make some comparisons. Who won? Paper beats rock, rock beats scissors, scissors beats paper. So first I'll have to make some choices. So player choice. I'll have a variable to keep track of the player's choice, and that will be using the input function to get user input. And I'll skip a line for that just to help separate out each round. So I'll say new \n for a new line. Choose rock. Notice I'm using single quotes to indicate exactly what to type, but not double quotes because I'm using double quotes to mark my string. Paper or scissors. And then I'll do another \n, skip a line, and I like to put a little arrow, a little right angle bracket for a command prompt. So the reason I use, just to reiterate this, the reason I use single quotes on each of these is because I'm marking the beginning and end of my string with double quotes. So if you want to put quotation marks or apostrophes in your strings, they have to be the quotation mark that you don't use to mark the outside of the string. Otherwise, I mean, you could see what would happen if I tried to use a double quote here. Part of this is no longer a string. This is now a separate string from this. So that's a problem because it's all supposed to be one long string. So that's why I use the single quotes. So player choice is going to be set to an input, and AI choice will be randomly chosen. So I'm just going to say random.choice. And random.choice can choose randomly from, can choose a random element from something. So I'm just going to use a list with rock, paper, and scissors in that list. So the random.choice function will just choose one of those three things randomly. That's what the choice function does. It randomly selects an item from something. So in this case, it's randomly selecting an item from this list. And then I'll print out the status of that. So I'll say print player choice and I'll print my AI choice. Okay, so the selections are made. Now I just need to figure out who won the round. So that's just the basic rules of rock, paper, scissors. So if player choice equals rock and AI choice equals paper, paper beats rock, so the AI wins. So I'm just going to set AI score to itself +1, and I'm going to use the shorthand for that. You could do AI score equals AI score +1. There's a shorthand for that though. You can just say plus equals 1. Okay, alternatively, so I'm going to do an else if here. Elif player choice equals rock and AI choice equals scissors. Rock beats scissors, so player wins. player score plus equals 1. At this point, I can kind of just copy, paste, and edit. I'm just going to copy this elif a whole bunch of times. Right, if player choice equals paper, and AI choice equals scissors. Scissors beats paper, so AI wins. And I'll just keep pasting and modifying until I have each possible condition. Notice I'm skipping ties. The reason for that is that if there's a tie, I can kind of catch that at the end with the else. So I'm only doing, for the player choice rock, the 2 other options besides rock. For player choice paper, the 2 other options besides paper. And for player choice scissors, the 2 other options. So if the player choice is paper and the AI choice is rock, paper beats rock, so player wins. Okay, so that should cover all of my situations where somebody wins or loses. All right, if player is rock and AI is paper, paper beats rock, AI wins. Player is rock, AI is scissors, rock beats scissors, player wins. Player is paper, AI is scissors, scissors beats paper, AI wins. Paper versus rock, player wins. Scissors versus rock, rock wins, that's AI. And scissors versus paper, scissors wins, that's player. So that covers everything. And I'm just going to throw an else in there. I'm just going to print tie. And that covers, rock versus rock, scissors versus scissors, paper versus paper. Now, one problem with this is that I don't have anything to catch what happens if you type something other than rock, paper, or scissors. So this should kind of work. Let me just set up a line. We set up a couple of lines just to print to print the status of, to sort of print the score. I'll just say print player score and I'll print AI score. And it's mostly working right now. Sure, the basics are all there. It says choose rock, paper, or scissors. If I say rock, looks like I lost. But if I say paper, yeah, I win this time. If I say scissors, plays out there. It's playing out all the rounds that covered a tie, so I can win, I can lose, I can tie. However, what happens if I type something complete? If I type a bunch of complete nonsense, it says it's a tie, which, okay, at least it doesn't run around. But really, it probably should just be rejecting that input altogether. So that's one issue. Another issue is if I type like uppercase R rock, it still says tie. Well, that was actually rock. That was rock versus rock. It really was a tie. Come on. There we go. That was a lot of rocks in a row. Okay, so that time it was rock versus scissors, but it said tie anyway. The reason was that it was not really a valid entry because all it's checking for is lowercase letters here at the beginnings of the words. So there's a couple things that I can deal with pretty easily. Those are a couple of things I can deal with pretty easily. One is as far as dealing with the automatic tie. As far as dealing with the automatic tie, when you type something incorrectly, like just with incorrect capitalization, I can do that by just converting the user input to lowercase no matter what they type, because all of my conditional statements use lowercase. So if I just use the .lower string method, .lower string method converts all the text in this string that's returned here. Right? Remember, the input function always returns a string. The string that's returned can just be converted to lowercase using the .lower function at the end. So I'll add that .lower there, and that should handle that. And another thing I can do is just use a while loop to force the user to input a valid input. So I can get this input the first time and then use a while loop to check while player choice not in the list of possible choices, rock, paper, scissors, repeat that process. Right, get another input. So I'll just copy paste that same line, just repeat this. So as long as the player's choice is not in this list, it is just going to ask for another player choice. Convert it to lowercase again, so that it, no matter how the user types it, as long as it's the word rock, paper, or scissors, it will match the lowercase input or the lowercase strings in these among these options. So I think that should cover everything. One of the last things I need to do is just show who wins at the end. And this is outside the while loop. So I said, most of the program happens inside this while loop, but at the very end, after you exit the loop, that means somebody has won the game. So I'm going to say if player score is greater than AI score, print new line, you win. And the only other option, because this doesn't exit until somebody wins, there is no way to tie overall as far as the best of 5. It just keeps going until somebody wins overall. The only other option is you lose. So I'll just say print you lose. And I should add another new line just for pretty formatting. Because you'll notice in between each round I've been putting a line break to separate each round just to help make it easier to see. And same thing with the end result. I'd like to have a new line there as well. So at this point, that should cover everything. So if I type rock, all uppercase, it handles that just fine. If I type a bunch of gibberish, handles that by just saying choose rock, paper, scissors all over again. Right? At least it doesn't go ahead and play around because that would be pointless. So it forces me to make at least a valid selection. Ooh, I'm winning with rock this time. Let's stick with rock. And I won. And you can see it says at the end you win. So that's all there is to that.